120 seconds. 110 seconds. 100 seconds. 90 seconds. 80 seconds. 70 seconds. 60 seconds. 50 seconds. 40 seconds. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds.
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
All right, my friends, once again, it is indeed time to get our talk on. It's Morning Talk with me, your host, J.C. McCauley, along with the champions of talk. This morning in Studio 1A, Talk Champion, Cacique, in the house. Good morning.
Good morning, Stan, and good morning to all our viewers and listeners. I hope you all are having an incredible week. Thank you.
How's your weekend?
Stan, it was fabulous. You know, as you know, on Friday we had a simultaneous exhibition at the chess club with National Master Jeffrey Torres, and he was outstanding. You know, he played 5 people and he beat them all, as we knew he would. But the good thing about it is that right after, he went over each player's game with them. He broke it down, and you know, he explained what his approach was and what he's seen, what they were doing, and it was super instructive. And he did that with all 5 players.
Did he do that? Did he do that like after each game or at the end of all games?
At the end of all the games.
Wow.
He went over each game, and he was just incredible. You know, he was he's a very thoughtful man.
Like a genius.
Well, he's a very thoughtful man. You know, he to do that, to take his time to do that. So he's a member of our club, and he comes by. We're trying to work something out where we can get him there every Saturday. And then, Saturday, once again, we played chess. We had a really good Saturday. We had some people come in and play. Some guests from the New Britain Library Chess Club came by and played with some of our members. And then, Sunday is family day, brother. We just chill, man. We just stay home and relax.
Nice. I'm thinking about that chess game, though. So he remembers.
No, he
all of the game.
He wrote.
In his
Yes. Well, he remembered 4 of them, and one of them he wrote down for a young man. I think he's like 10. He's a young Indian brother. He's phenomenal, but he wrote so the kid can go over the game by himself again. But yeah, he remembered all 5 games. Absolutely, man. I used to play with a young man, Stan.
That's incredible to me.
Well, listen to this. I used to play with a young man. He used to call me on the phone, and I would have my board out, and he would play me on his head with no board. He just, yeah, I know. But people remember it. And then, these guys, they remember games from 10, 15, 20 years ago. They say, yeah, I remember in a match in Paris, I did this, da-da-da-da. And they just have that phenomenal memory. I recommend chess for everyone, for young and old, for men and women. It's just an incredible game. And it's good for, chess is like, it's like lifting weights for your brain. It's like reading. It kind of
exercise.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. So yeah, we had a really good weekend, and we were very fortunate. And I noticed that this, and I have to say this, I noticed that this year, I noticed that the colonialism on behalf of our own people was kind of, subdued. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't understand why all the firecracking and all of this for the 4th of July, that we should be doing that on Juneteenth. That's the day we should be making noise. And then let them folks do their thing, because that's their celebration, not ours. I just want to put that out there. So I appreciate the fact that our people are being more conscious of the things that they celebrate and how it impacts us. And I'm happy about that, because we're creating an awareness. We're elevating consciousness here, Stan.
I hadn't processed it the way you just explained it, but that makes a lot of sense, because the amount of fireworks and all that is like way down.
It was all black and brown people that was blowing them up, celebrating somebody else's, victory. You know what I'm saying? So now I think that because of the information that's out there, we keep talking about the Great Awakening. It's happening right before your eyes, man. So yeah, it was good to see that. But I want more of a bigger celebration, a more festive activity, more joyful activity on Juneteenth. What is this little subdued stuff that they do? What's that all about, man? Are we afraid to celebrate our own things? What's going on, Stan? Explain that to me.
I think the same level of consciousness has to be applied to Juneteenth. Juneteenth, I think, is turned into just a celebration for
white people.
Well, yeah, in a way.
Stop it, Stan. You know what I'm saying.
Right. Well, I was gonna say, it's being planned by people who have no real association, attachment, or understanding of what
the significance
is. So it's just another. It's been commercialized and
co-opted.
There you go. Co-opted. So it's everything except Juneteenth. It's music, it's fairs, it's this, that, and other thing, but it has nothing to do with Juneteenth.
Right. And that's why we have to take that back and make it. And now, listen, I'm saying it on air, and I'm challenging you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
And your wife, the wonderful Naisha McCauley. I'm challenging y'all to do a magnificent Juneteenth celebration next year. You can't say it's too late. You can't say we didn't have time.
We will do that. We will do that.
We need to make it beautiful and outside.
Right. It'll be outside.
If it's not raining, so people can bring their tents, maybe Keeney Park, Coach Park, a place that's ours.
All right.
Not Bushnell Park.
Right.
That's not ours.
All right.
You know?
Fair enough. We did one, so we will make it spectacular.
But the one y'all did is memorable.
Right.
Because I attended with my wife. We had a good time. There was food. There was music. There were vendors there, artists. It was that's what it's supposed to be. It was a very nice gathering. I still talk about it. I had a great time.
It was a lot of. It was very nice. It was very nice, and I think it celebrated the spirit of Juneteenth in a very nice way. But it's good to hear you say that, because to me, you can't do an assessment of your own work. You can't hype your own work. It has to come from someone other than you. So.
Well, you can. It just sounds different when other people do it.
Yeah.
But y'all did a great job.
Well,
we had a good time.
We will do it. We will do it again. And I'm of the mindset. I know rain hampers stuff, and there's a certain amount of rain that really does get in the way of things. However, when you go forward in the rain,
yes,
to me that makes a statement.
Well, we could do it like that too.
So
I'll bring a tent.
Rain or shine.
Okay, we got a tent. We'll have a tent. People can bring their tents, and set them up. It's a whole day. We could do. It doesn't have to be a one day thing, Stan. We could do Friday, Saturday, and then shut it down Sunday. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
It could be something nice where we have artists, musicians.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. like a big, like a celebration of life, celebration of freedom, brother. Brought to you by Mayor McCauley and his wonderful wife.
We will commit to doing that.
I like the way that sounds. Hosted by the mayor and his family, leading the way.
It'll be a family event.
I like that.
Family event.
Beautiful.
Like the first one was. So this will be the second annual. We skipped a year. Actually, we skipped a couple years because COVID.
Yeah. But that's all right, because now we can really make it an annual.
Yeah.
And do it that's in a way that's sustainable. So other people can just come in and say, hey, listen, this is what we have to do, and it'll happen.
All right. Well, we will make that happen.
I love it, man. Just the idea of it makes me very happy. I feel like this great sense of joy, man, knowing that we're embarking on creating a magnificent event for our community.
All right. So what else is up?
Well, Stan, I got to tell you, man, I've been listening to people talk about some of these debates. And, I don't like the idea that, Eric Coleman and John Fonfera boycotted an event, because it kind of goes to show the power that these politicians have. These majoral debates should be on a volunteer basis only. If candidates want to participate, then they should be able to. But if they don't, it shouldn't be a big deal. And this stuff about boycotting stuff is really, a political ploy, to keep the community from meeting a candidate like you who has a lot of information to impart. And I think they're running now, Stan. I think they boycotted that event because you're kicking their behind and they're running.
That could be. I like the way that sounds. I do. But I agree. I agree with you on the
premise.
The premise
that they're running.
The premise that they're no, on the premise of boycotting a debate. A candidate's boycotting a debate is problematic to me. People boycotting a debate, that's cool, because the debate is for them. When a candidate boycotts a debate, then the debate becomes all about the candidate. It's all about me. Me.
Yeah, I don't like it.
That is a very big red flag for everybody.
Yeah.
Because what happens when they get in office? They're going to become super me's.
Yeah.
You're not there for you. You're there for the constituents. The constituents are due. They're owed to ask you whatever question they want.
And the constituents could have asked questions about the reason why this brother is boycotting this event. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or why he talked about if he attended, under duress or whatever, why he felt like that. You know what I'm saying? But I just think that I don't understand why John Fonfara and Eric Coleman are running. These guys have been huge failures. I hear some people talk about John Fonfara got a lot of money for the North End. Where is it?
Where's the money?
Yeah. What did they do with it? Because there's a lot of stuff going on in the North End. I mean, we're leaving. You're leaving here today, brother, to go to a flooding that's going on. Mm-hmm. Why was the money used for that?
I don't know.
But I'm just saying, why? What are they running on? What is their record that they're running on? What have they done to stop the crime? Eric's been in the North End for a long time, allegedly. And then in the South End, what has John done? You know what I'm saying? What's going on with these people? What is their record? What are they standing on?
I can't speak to those things, Well, maybe we can invite them here.
I would love to invite John and Eric on the show and ask them some questions. Can we do that, Stan?
I have an open door policy. There's only 5 people on the planet that are not allowed in my house.
Okay.
Neither one of them are on that list.
Okay.
So if you extend an invitation and they come, I have no problem. They could sit right in chair number 3.
Yes. So, while we're on this topic, I just want to let the community know that next Thursday, between 4 and 5 p.m. on Wyndham Street in Hartford, the next mayor of Hartford, Stan McCauley, will be there with his bus to answer questions from constituents. Any concerns, any ideas, anything that you want to say to Stan and his team, they'll be on Wyndham Street. And if you and the people on your block are interested in having Stan bring the bus, bring his team, please reach out to me and contact me, and we'll make arrangements for the bus to come to your block. So I just want to put that out there. Stan is on the bus. He's making his rounds. Get your notebooks out. Get your questions. Write down your concerns. Share any ideas that you have with Hartford's next mayor, Stan McCauley. That's what I'm talking about, Stan.
All right. Well, I'll absolutely be there. I like answering questions, particularly from constituents. Something had come into my mind real quick, and then just like that, like smoke, it evaporated.
Well, Stan, I got something I want to ask you, man. Mm-hmm. What are you doing? What are you and your team doing to engage the Spanish-speaking community?
That's a good question, and it brought back the question that I had. But the one that you just asked is that the first thing we're doing is, next Tuesday, we're having a press conference.
Yes.
And next Tuesday's press conference will probably be the very first real engagement, because we have admittedly been lacking in that area.
Yes.
So if you make a mistake or you fall short, own it. Don't make excuses for it. But, we have a 6-point plan. We've been calling it the 5-point plan. But there's a hint that it's been a 6-point plan all along, because in the song, it says 6-point plan. So the 6th point in the plan is out, which is to make Hartford a dual language city. The reason I say dual language is because, Hartford's an international city.
Yes.
There's like 76 different ethnic groups in this city. It's really an international city.
Absolutely.
And it's really a crime that we don't focus on the international aspects of our city. But the number one language, really, the primary language, obviously, in the whole country is English. But the number one language spoken in Hartford is Spanish.
Yes.
The Spanish-speaking population in Hartford is the majority population. And so we're having a press conference to talk about the fact that we have to close the literacy gap. Adult literacy in Hartford is 61%.
That's awful, man.
It's very. No one ever wants to talk about this, but it is at the heart of why Hartford is in the constant state that it's in, with it being such a poor city. Because if you don't have mastery of reading and writing, it becomes almost impossible for you to be employable, except you have menial jobs.
And when you are, you're absolutely taken advantage of.
Absolutely.
Crimes are committed against you.
Absolutely.
Because the wages that they pay you are criminal. There's a bunch of stuff that happens. And so, yeah, I like that idea, Stan. But, I'm just concerned that, you have to prioritize engaging the Spanish-speaking community because they're going to put you over the hump. A lot of the folks that I speak to, they're tired of the business as usual, the lame promises by these politicians. They never see them until it's election time. The same old story. And they want to see a breath of fresh air. And you, brother, not being part of the machine, like they say, right now, you are a breath of fresh air compared to the other candidates.
Well, we hope to continue to be a breath of fresh air. But in the part of the challenge is making literacy or the being illiterate. Part of that is to make it a challenge and not a stigma. All right, so we want to remove the stigma and turn it into a challenge. So we want people, adults who should be able to read and write English, to take advantage of opportunities to become functionally literate. And so there's going to be a whole list of things that can be done. But don't ask people to do what you yourself not willing to do. So I am totally illiterate when it comes to the primary language in the city, which is Spanish.
Yes.
So I can't speak Spanish. I can count to 10 or 20 actually, and I know a couple of words, but not enough to do anything. And I most certainly can't read. So I'm totally illiterate in a language that half the city speaks. And if you go to City Hall, or you go to any Hartford government, there's dual publications in English and Spanish. And I can't read the Spanish. So I'm going to become conversationally fluent in Spanish before the end of my term.
Nice.
Which means I have to learn Spanish. So while I'm learning Spanish, other folk can learn English. All right, I'm not saying that you need to go out and pick up English. I'm talking about the English-speaking people, folk whose only language is English, who are functionally illiterate. So turn it into a challenge. I'm going to take the challenge as well. So since I can speak English, read English, I'm going to learn the language in the city that I don't know, which is Spanish. So if I can do that, you lead by example. So that means I have to take Spanish lessons. I have to take Spanish lessons every day. I have to be and speak it. So along with learning another language, you also embrace the culture around the language.
It's very respectful when people do that, Stan. When you learn somebody's language, I make it a point when I meet someone from another country to learn how to greet them in your language. So next time I see them, I can greet them. Mm-hmm. When I meet any Muslim brother, I always greet them with Salam Alaikum, which simply means, are you in peace? Mm-hmm. And they, return that. I can say hello in French, Portuguese, Spanish, French, they're all very similar. I can say it in German. I can say it in Korean, Japanese, because I made it a point. I met people and I made it a point. It's respectful, but what I would remind all the English speakers out there, is that people who don't speak English have to learn to speak English to survive in this country. Whereas English speakers, when they pick up another language, they're doing it for leisure. And it's quite different. So we must keep that in mind so we're not disrespectful or inconsiderate. The other thing that I would submit to this conversation, brother, is that the United States is, I think, one of the very few monolingual countries. You know, most other countries speak 3 or 4 languages.
Absolutely.
In Africa, it is common for I'm talking about the continent,
Right.
which has 56 countries. And in those 56 countries, it's very common for them to speak 4, 5, or 6 languages fluently. You know, not a few words, fluently. So, you know, and that's higher level intelligence, brother, because, you know, you're using your brain, like, you know, for a long time, and still sometimes people who speak different languages sometimes will think in their head, in their native tongue, and it comes out in their second or third language differently. So for people from the Caribbean, you know, English is our third language, many of us, because we were colonized and Spanish was our first language, and we don't use our original language, which is Arawak or Taino. So people from the Caribbean, most of us, when we use English, we're really speaking in our third language. So, you know, language is important, culture is important. And, you know, back to the thing that we started with in this conversation, Stan, I think that you and your team have to prioritize engaging the Spanish-speaking community. And I love the fact that you have this press conference coming up, and you're going to meet a lot of Spanish-speaking folk when you come to my block. So you'll have a chance to, between now and Thursday, maybe you can learn a few phrases, you know, how to greet, say hello, you know, hola, buenas tardes, or, you know, happy to be here, you know, whatever. But, you know, make an effort because, like I said earlier, it's respectful when you engage people in their native tongue because they're happy about it, because you took time to learn something about me, to be respectful of me, and I find that very, very respectful. So that's a good, you know, icebreaker. You knock down doors with that. You know, it's like greeting people, you know. You walk by a group of people and they're all grilling you and you say hello, you broke them down. Even if they curse at you, they still responding. You broke them down. You own them now, you know what I mean? So you got to know these things as you move in life, brother. This is just knowledge that comes with, you know, with age and with, you know, with the way that you communicate with your ancestors. They allow these messages to come through so you can share them. We're in the, once again, we're in the age of the Great Awakening, Stan. People like me, I'm 63. My job is to share information for young people to put it into play.
We're the same age.
Yep. And, you know, I got to tell you, we both look pretty good. We look healthy. You know, I got a few pounds on me, a little overweight and stuff, but I feel good. I exercise regularly, and I love junk food, pastries and stuff. So, yeah.
All right. Well, that ain't bad. If you want, you can give me a couple pounds.
Yes. Yes.
It's too bad we can't transfer weight.
I know. Isn't that something? Yeah. And, you know, Stan, the other thing that's happening right now is that we are all, and we don't talk about this, but we're all waiting to see what's going to happen with Donald Trump. We want to see if he's really going to go to jail. Because they're talking about it.
I've not been engaged with the Trump stuff. I've been so, I forget that Donald Trump is around.
Well, I think that I don't think he can run for president because he's been
No, you can run
indicted.
for president. You can run for president from prison.
Yeah?
Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
think-
It doesn't matter would you get elected.
No, brother. I think there was something that I read that
No,
says that,
I think only if you are guilty, tried and found guilty of treason. It's but anyone can run for president.
yeah,
Yeah. Anyone can run. Now, it doesn't mean anyone can win,
yeah.
but anyone can run. You can put your name in. In fact, wasn't one of the guys, there was a guy like Love something. There was a kind of like a French name who ran. He was in prison.
We'll have to look that up.
We'll look that up. We'll look that up during the break.
But we just want to see if he's going to go to jail, Stan. You know?
He might. I don't know. I don't know. The political lens probably will have more to do with that than anything else. Not just it'll be the political lens. Because that level of politics has a way of becoming tit for tat.
Yeah.
So then the next round,
it'll be a Democrat.
And then next, so it's always, they go back and forth. And this gets to what you were talking about in the very beginning about the, candidates boycotting events. This is not about them.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be about the constituent. It's our government as constituents. It's the people's government, not the politicians' government. They act like it's all about them, and we little speaking as a constituent, the constituents are just they're like indigenous people in the land that we discovered, and we found out that there's people there. What are these people doing on our land? Don't they know that this is ours? What are they doing here? Well, we'll have to find a way to manage them. Then that's how they treat constituents. We're to be managed and controlled. We shouldn't have a word to say about what actually goes on.
Have to accept everything that they say.
What they say.
So that's a wonderful segue for me, Stan, because I wanted to touch up a little bit upon the idea of, in this upcoming election, keep an eye on who supports who and who votes for who. Because it's going to clearly let you know who is supporting our community and who is not, who's supporting, political parties. So keep an eye on that. The people who keep supporting Eric Coleman and the John Fonferras, those are literally your enemies. They don't have your best interest in mind. So, and these people are charlatans because they don't even live in Hartford, and they just move to Hartford and want to come in and do whatever they want. Come on, y'all, let's open our eyes, man. It's right there for you to see. It's not because I'm saying it. You go take a look for yourself. Let's do the right thing. Let's start electing our own so we can build a city that we're proud of, communities that we're proud of, schools that we're proud of. We're thriving. Everybody's just successful. We build an air of success that's infectious, and it starts with Stan McCauley.
Well, I thank you for that. I didn't pay him for this. He doesn't get paid,
Stan, I didn't make you blush, did I, man?
You're making me blush, brother.
That's all right, man. But you earned that, brother. You earned that because you're a family man. You're a family man.
I got a question for you. This is a real question. This is what I had. It had lost my mind, but it came back.
Come on.
It left my mind. It came back. At the end of the last debate, which was actually really, really good debate, it was the LGBTQ plus commission sponsored debate of the LGBTQ plus IA or LGBTQIA plus mayoral candidates forum held over in Mark Twain. And the reason I used the letters is because it was incredible. If you get a copy of the tape, in fact, I'm not sure. It seems to me that someone recorded the entire thing. I think Black Lives 860 recorded the entire event at Trinity College. I haven't seen the entire event here. But it was interesting that the candidates, except for me, that the candidates, every time they spoke, mentioned LGBTQ plus. Every time they talked about this community of human beings, they put a label on them.
Yeah.
And I really don't think they could hear themselves, because it would be like if they were talking to a room full of black people We say, well, you black people are resilient.
Yeah.
You
Well,
black people like watermelon.
Well, Stan,
you black. I mean, every time every time they say something, they qualified the statement, and then eventually somebody got up and mentioned it.
Well, here's the thing, Stan. If you don't mention it, then you're guilty of not mentioning them.
You can't help but.
And then if you mention them, then you're guilty of mentioning them. So you gotta be you. In that moment, you gotta be you.
But it's my contention, and I will debate this with any of the candidates who were there. It's my contention that they weren't themselves, because you don't need a qualifier when you're talking to a room full of a particular group of people. That the whole group. That's like talking to a room of police officers. Everyone in there's a cop.
Well, let me tell you something, Stan. Political correctness is another racist term that has been used to...
Term or process?
Both. They have been used against black and brown people, because what happens is, these racists come out and say whatever they want in any form. And then when we make a rebuttal, then we're not politically correct. I don't really care about, naming the LGBTQ community or this other community. I don't care about
They're just
that.
people.
Right. At the end of the day, that's exactly what
everybody's
it is.
a people.
You're either part of our community, the bigger community,
or you're not.
You find a niche for yourself and you make a contribution to the bigger community, or you get the hell out. And you take your show somewhere else. And that goes for anybody.
I can wrap my head around that.
We want people in our community that are going to self-identify. We don't have a problem with that. Mm-hmm. But they're going to make a contribution, a positive contribution to the community, the bigger community.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, issues concerning your community are important.
Absolutely.
Do you recognize and see us in the community is important.
Absolutely.
When you see us, who do you see? What do you see in the community? I think
see Stan McCauley.
All of those things.
But you know what I mean?
All of those things are very, very important. But
absolutely.
At the end of the forum, a young lady asked me, and this is a question I'm going to ask you and the rest of the audience. I thought it was an interesting question, because she's actually asked me a question about something else at a different forum. I think it's because she's part of another team, but that doesn't disqualify her question.
Yeah.
And she asked me, she said, so it was funny because she said, not if you become mayor.
Yeah.
If I heard her right.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll correct me. So when you become mayor, and she's part of another team, by the way, but when you become mayor, are you going to get rid of? Are you going to get rid of your company? AccessTV.org. Will you divest yourself totally of AccessTV.org? I thought that was an interesting question. And when you mentioned, so she said, like Donald Trump, are you going to get rid of AccessTV.org? Step away from there and have nothing to do with AccessTV.org.
Well, what was your answer, Stan?
I told her that the mayor's job is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is the only job that the mayor has it by charter. By charter. That is your job. You can't do any other work. And so I said I have, capable people who are quite able to move AccessTV.org forward. She said, "Yeah, but will you continue to be the face of AccessTV.org?" I said, "I'm still the face of Channel 5. How long have I been gone from there? I have no control over that."
Yeah, yep. They're just trying to, minimize you and trivialize, you. They want to make you and your work small, and that's a ploy that people use. Is that cancel culture nonsense, Stan? You know what I'm saying? It derives from things like that. But I think that what I would say to that is that you're perfectly correct. You do have incredible people around you that can continue to manage the station, the program, in your absence. And this is something that's going to be here, I think, long after you and I are gone. I believe Access TV is sustainable the way that you've done it, and the way that you've prepared is something that's going to be here for a long time.
I would agree with you. I told her, wild horses can't drag me away from my company.
Man,
but and I'll be honest, and all of the producers here will attest to this. The success of AccessTV.org hasn't even been scratched. I probably am the biggest roadblock. I think if the producers had it their way, this thing would be...
We blow it up.
We would be blown up beyond measure.
Yeah,
Stan is the biggest... Stan's the one that's in the way of AccessTV.org growing.
Yeah, no, we talked about that. I said, Stan, let's change the format. Let's do
Let's do this.
You're
I hear that from all...
man,
we
keep
can do
it
this.
right
We
here.
can do... Yeah.
But it works. It works because for what it is, which is an information disseminating program, it's beautiful. A lot of people watch it. It's not just people from Hartford. I get people all over the place when they see me. Hey, you're the guy on that show. Yeah, from all over, the young, old, black, white. I've had people comment on it. So I like it. I like the idea that we can provide people with information, have guests on here that also have valuable information and things that they do. And so yeah. And by the way, I went to the it used to be called the Hispanic Health Council, and now it's called the Conscious Center, something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
the Conscience,
something like that. Center. Yeah, I forgot the name. And then the brother that's the director happens to be my neighbor. I didn't even know. The guy lives like 2 houses down from me, and he's leaving, but he's agreed to come on the show.
Okay,
and talk about mental health and some of the stuff that that's going on out there. Some of the places that people can go, just information for people so they can learn how to access these services.
I was talking to a member of our political staff. We're finally come to a place now where we're actually people having names and titles. I'm not a title guy, but the name and title goes with the role and responsibility.
Okay.
So if you have those and they are real, then the title. But I was talking to members of staff, and we were talking about, all of the shootings that are going on and all of the different things that are happening in society. I says, a lot of people want to blame things on the pandemic, but the pandemic was real. There were 2 years. And think about this. For some folks, some of us are not as social as others. Some people, you've got people who are loners, like solitude, and then you have other people who are really, really, the energy comes from one another. They have to be socially connected. And I would venture to say there are far more socially connected individuals than people who find reflective solitude as their restorative place. And I say all that to say this. Imagine that the number one place where most people socialize is at work, or at the mosque, or at a community group, or at a synagogue or a church or someplace like that, a social club. And then someone comes along and tells you you can't be with people anymore for like year. It's like being in social isolation or in solitary confinement. You're away from everybody. People go to office parties. There's office romances. There's people who have all kinds of, they go out after work. They get together at the lodge. They go hiking. They do all these things. There's churches that they cease to exist. Social clubs that cease to exist. Companies that cease to exist. All the things that defined people are gone. And now you're thrown back into the soup of the world. And people have literally, they've lost their minds.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to handle this. And so people are suffering. The whole nation, I think the whole planet, is suffering from untold trauma.
Isolation, yeah. Well, Stan, it's good that you mentioned that because a lot of elderly suffer from loneliness and isolation. They're by themselves. However, what you talked about earlier, spending time by yourself is not a bad thing. It just has to be, under your direction. You can't let your thoughts run away with you. You know what I'm saying? But reflecting and meditating are good ways to kind of center yourself. You know what I'm saying? But loneliness and isolation are totally different from what, I just spoke about. And those are very serious things. And I think that, some of the stuff is almost by design, Stan. You know what I'm saying? It's just to keep, they talked about the rat race in the 60s. It was the rat race where they keep you so busy you don't have time to go to your, you can't take your kid to the PTO meetings. You can't go to this, you can't go to that because you work all day and then you come home and you go to sleep to work again. Well, we kind of have that. I talked about this on the show a lot of times and what they're doing to our children. And we can't accept that kind of stuff. They're only able to follow directions. They're not inventing anything. A lot of kids don't go outside till they stand. And the pandemic exacerbated it.
In a huge way.
Right, but it was already happening. With the video games, not going outside, spending hours on that Xbox and that PlayStation and whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it was already happening. The pandemic just completely put it on full display. I remember, and it worked in different ways. I was working for the New Britain school system, and a lot of kids that were doing really, really well in school started failing during the pandemic. And a lot of kids that were failing in school during the pandemic, when they got a chance to do it on their own, they thrived. You know what I'm saying? So it worked for people in different ways. I always, sometimes we have to accept things for what they are. I think Donald Trump is one of the best things that ever happened to this country because it showed us exactly where we're at in terms of racial equality, social justice. White people armed their white privilege and their racism. They armed it. It became a weapon, and it became evident to us. So although he's not a good person, he allowed us to take a better look at ourselves. The pandemic did the same thing. The pandemic allowed a lot of people to reflect and to kind of find out who they were and move forward in a very positive way. Other people didn't have that success. Businesses were shut down. A lot of people died. The way they died was awful. We had to learn to grieve differently, brother. When people died, they were in the hospital. You could not visit them. When they died, you could not have any kind of service. They just burned them, and that was it, man. You know what I mean? So we had, we went through a lot of things during the pandemic that unless you were a person who reflects, it kind of just went by you and you accept it. A lot of things happen, and we have to kind of talk about how all these things came about because there are explanations. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, I'm anxious to have your guest come because he can help us walk through some of this.
Absolutely.
For our audience.
Yeah. And I'm still trying to get this other, the young woman that I told you about. She's a doctor in public health, a young Jamaican woman from the. She had, she works on policy, and I've had conversation with her, and she talks about how these policies impact our communities in such, in traumatic ways, because we're not really looking at what's going on. We're accepting. I remember when and you filmed this is on film. I went to City Hall. The new police chief, the one that left, was given a report on all the police procedures. And when a police officer commits a crime, it's not a crime. Okay? They bring it back, and they have different groups, like different committees for everything. That officer is brought before a committee Okay, he's not arrested. He doesn't go before a prosecutor or before a judge. He goes before other officers, and then he's exonerated, because that's what happens, and he's put back on the force. Okay, and we have to look at it. We can't allow that. That's a crime. We just can't accept it. The guy was there. I asked a question, and the one of the councilwomen, the young black woman that's not there anymore, she says, "Oh, you can't ask questions now." But the guy's telling us, the community, that when police officers commit a crime, they're not arrested. They go through an internal process that eventually exonerates them. They're telling you this to your face. And people just sitting there. And we have to stop that, address it, and change it on the spot. We just can't accept it. And that's why. And see, this is the thing for me. I want to hold police officers accountable for the crimes that they commit. But the real criminals are the legislators. Because think about it, Stan. A police officer works under a certain set of rules, a standard operating procedure for them.
Those are written by somebody.
And if we don't examine that and see if it makes sense, we are giving them full authority to commit crimes in our community, and then we cry about it.
Well, we ought not cry about the things we actually do have control over, because it is, at the end of the day, y'all, as they say, y'all's government.
Yes.
The government, it's the people's government. Now, if you let go of it and let someone else come in, or someone hijacks it and takes it over, then you just you can't sit idly by while folk run your government into the ground.
So here's what I would say, Stan, to kind of continue this. If you're working in a capacity, in a bureaucratic capacity as a black or a brown person, like I said to I think her name is Shonda Brody.
Shantae
Brody.
Shantae Brody. I
was in some type of committee with her for something.
Must have been Board of Education. Well, maybe not. I mean,
it was something in the community.
But she's been associated with the school board for a long time.
Yeah, but I said to her when she first got elected, I said, "Sister, the only thing you need to be doing is changing each and every policy in that Board of Education. Each and every word, every comma, everything has to change. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of it is criminal. And you're allowing people to continue to commit crimes against families and children. Look at the policies, and I'm talking about the way that the curriculum is written, the way it's rolled out, the way employees are treated, the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? We have to look at that to make sure that it, first of all, that there's humanity in it before anything, before legality, that there's humanity in these policies and in these rules and regulations. And we have to do the same thing with the law. In this country, it's still legal for a community to lynch an individual who commits a crime. In some states, it's still legal. And they just passed some kind of law in Tennessee where I guess the legislators there refuse to make lynching illegal. So, we're not as, we've come a long ways in a lot of things, brother, but we haven't come nearly as far as we need to be.
We have not arrived. Well, these laws are just a set of rules by the society that are subject to change at any time. They change laws every year.
Not by a society, by a segment of society. And we have to be very clear and specific about the language that we use.
Right, a very
words
small
matter.
Segment of the society.
And very powerful.
Very powerful. But we can arrest that power from the elites who have hijacked the system.
Yes.
But that requires engagement on the part of the governed.
Yes.
You know, you can't govern without the consent of the governed. France found that out. You know, all of this. It's fine. No, I shouldn't say it's just now coming out. We don't hear a lot of the stuff that goes on around the world lately. You know, I shouldn't say lately. Over the last several years.
That's because all that info is being filtered. It's being filtered.
Right, it's been filtered out. But the buildings that they attacked in France were all municipal buildings. They were all like city halls.
In
99 municipal centers, city halls, were attacked and burned.
Yeah.
And they actually went after like mayors of the towns.
Well, you know, here's the thing. Here's the thing that people have been saying for years, brother. In Europe, when they cracked down on bankers and other capitalists, they locked them all up, Stan. They locked them up. In this country, they took them out of the private sector and gave them government jobs. You see the difference? So, you know, we accept that kind of stuff. We're very, very accepting of that. We think government is almost like their God-given right to do whatever they want. I think people believe that sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So we just have to be a little bit, continue to share information. Hopefully we're creating awareness and consciousness. And, you know, I see it in a lot of people now.
Mm-hmm.
I see it in a lot of people. You know, I told you several shows ago, I've had two black ministers come to me and say, Cacique, your words have made me rethink my religion completely. My belief system has been shook by your words. So consciousness can be built even amongst the strongest naysayers, brother.
Well, that's a
but
good
it just
thing.
takes time. It's not a one-day process. It didn't happen for me like that. You know, but I will say this coming election, a vote for any current elected official is a vote and support for white supremacy and racism. We have to get rid of these people. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, while I'm at it, we need to take over the town committee. And I said this many times, how is a white man that doesn't live in Hartford the chairman of the Democratic Town Committee? That's a slap in the face to every citizen in this city. And all you cowards who support this kind of stuff, that's exactly what you are. You could be mad at me, you could talk about me, and you can even try to come at me. But if you have any kind of brains at all, take a second and process what I'm saying, and you'll come over to the right team. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Well, I'm gonna roll this out because we got to get ready to go.
Yeah, let's go, man.
But I'm gonna roll this. This is something we just did. Now, this is an experimental piece. This is done by AI.
Interesting.
All right. The editing wasn't done by AI, but all of the voice and stuff is AI.
That's incredible.
And
man.
this is just I'm tinkering with some of the new tools that are out there because I like to be on the cutting edge.
Yes.
But this is a letter that I sent. Now you talk about it. This is a letter that I sent to the town committee. So this piece really is directed to the town committee. And I did this yesterday in my spare time because I didn't have anything to, you're sitting around the house in the rain.
Yeah.
Tinkering, and I came up with this.
Nice.
So check this out. Check this out, and then we'll be right back.
J. Stan McCauley says before he would ask for your vote for mayor, he wants you to know who he is, what he stands for, and how he plans to lead Hartford forward.
Dear Hartford Democratic Town Committee, I enthusiastically seek your endorsement for mayor of the city of Hartford. I believe I have the requisite experience and skill set needed to advance us toward a better Hartford. Hartford is at the crossroads. It is teetering on a precipice of falling into complete neighborhood and social decline. We see the symptoms: lack of civility, littering, reckless driving, gun violence, low voter turnout, citizen apathy, to name a few. Just going back to business as usual wouldn't be enough to prevent more of the same. We need to create breakthrough community momentum for all our kids. We need to find ways to deal constructively with the issues that affect us all. We need strong communities and strong people. This means investing in strategies that build community stability and resilience. The change we seek is best undertaken by residents hand in hand as opposed to waiting for some outside force to change their circumstances. Sustaining progress requires residents to be committed to the vision for the city and feel a personal connection to making it work. By moving from the mindset of change being done for to change being done with means we must fundamentally realign our priorities in city governance. As an accomplished nonprofit leader, business owner, convener, and community builder, I have been privileged to contribute to the growth of Hartford. As a knowledgeable observer and translator of municipal government, having videotaped hundreds of mayoral, council, and school board meetings for almost 3 decades, as a documentarian and interviewer of every Hartford mayor since Georgia Thinson, I have been part of fine-grained community advocacy in all 17 Hartford neighborhoods, with a grassroots awareness few can rival. My experience in community advocacy has taught me valuable lessons in leadership, including the power of organizing constituencies, offering a compelling vision, and promoting the inclusion and well-being of all residents. Hartford will thrive with a mayor with diverse skills, a depth of knowledge of city issues and relationships with the people, so together, we can collaborate, innovate, take on challenges, and create opportunities as one Hartford. I believe I have that unique combination of talents and experiences that make for an excellent 68th mayor of the city of Hartford. I thank you for taking the time to consider me as a mayoral candidate and looking forward to our conversation.
So the voice is AI on that.
That was incredible, Stan. I like the message, and the people that you have on there are just regular folks from Hartford, man.
Regular folk.
And it's beautiful to see that you have support from such an array of individuals from so many different walks of life. It's very impressive, man. So very nice, brother.
There's more people than that. So I'm going to expand the people, but as you expand the people, then there's less face time.
Yes.
So there's more people than I have time to put them all in. But
it's very creative, man. And I'm happy that you're going to bring that, that level and that wonderful creativity to the mayor's office, brother.
Mm-hmm,
absolutely, man. We need that,
Well, we'll see. We'll see where we end up with that. Well, there's a big meeting over at the church on the corner of Albany Avenue and Woodland because it was flooded out last night.
That is awful,
yesterday
man.
Afternoon.
I seen some videos on FaceTime. I mean, on social media, Stan, and people's basements.
Franklin Avenue. Did you see Franklin Avenue?
It's awful, man. It's just sad.
Down by Max Guitari's place over there on North Main.
That's awful, man.
Now, of course, it was raining, it was flooding, but the issue here that people need to be aware of, because flooding happens, we understand that, but it's the sewage.
Right.
That's
backing up into people's houses.
The sewage should not be in the flood water.
Well, let me ask you this, Dan. When I was at Weaver, it must have been close to 10 years ago. I was still with Hartford. There was a $2 billion money. It was $2 billion given to Hartford, $2 billion to fix the sewages over a 20-year period. Where are we with that?
We're coming up on the end of that 20 years.
And what have they done?
That would seemingly be the real question.
It sounds like they've been doing like them politicians.
Folks have.
It sounds like they've been doing with them, like them politicians, Stan. They're making it worse, and then they want to run for something else. That's what they said.
Maybe, a lot of times people fix stuff that ain't broken until it gets broken. So
and then they want more money.
Right.
Yeah. Well, listen, family, it's been great. I just want to plug the Taino Chess Club, 1020 Farmington Avenue in Berlin. We have a chess tournament this weekend. It's called Chess 960. Is where you play from a predetermined position. Please register at the Connecticut State Chess Association to play on Friday and Saturday, and there's a scholastic event on Sunday. Thank you so much, family. I hope you all have a great week and make the best of your day. Peace.
All right, my friends, we will see you next time. Bring a friend with you. If you would like for us to come to your neighborhood, your community, your agency, whatever the case is, with our mobile campaign office, you can contact Cacique
at 860-402-3095.
There we go. And we'll come. And you can ask us the tough questions, ask us the blistering questions. You can ask us anything you want. You could take us to the Wayback Machine about the bishops and how Constitution Plaza was supposed to be the new downtown, the demise of Front Street. But whatever questions you want, ask about the municipal review, the MARB, the taxes, community. You talk about schools, integration. You can talk about Sheffield, whatever. If you have a question, ask the tough questions. I keep telling people, don't talk about the questions that weren't asked after the debate is over. Ask them during the debate. And if they won't let you ask a question during the debate, you know what you do? Yell it out, like in a courtroom. Yell out the question. Yell it out. They won't let me ask a question, but I'm going to ask you a question, Mr. Candidate. Yada bada bing bada boom.
And when Stan comes over to your neighborhood, you won't have that problem because he'll be readily accessible.
Yep.
So once again, family, next Thursday on Wyndham Street, Hartford's next mayor, Stan McCauley, will be making a stop on his van to answer questions from the residents and constituents. Thank you so much for all who support me and the things that I do. This is Cacique signing out. Peace, family.
Ciao, my friends.
J. Stan McCauley says before he would ask for your vote for mayor, he wants you to know who he is, what he stands for, and how he plans to lead Hartford forward.
Dear Hartford Democratic Town Committee, I enthusiastically seek your endorsement for mayor of the city of Hartford. I believe I have the requisite experience and skill set needed to advance us toward a better Hartford. Hartford is at the crossroads. It is teetering on a precipice of falling into complete neighborhood and social decline. We see the symptoms: lack of civility, littering, reckless driving, gun violence, low voter turnout, citizen apathy, to name a few. Just going back to business as usual wouldn't be enough to prevent more of the same. We need to create breakthrough community momentum for all our kids. We need to find ways to deal constructively with the issues that affect us all. We need strong communities and strong people. This means investing in strategies that build community stability and resilience. The change we seek is best undertaken by residents hand in hand as opposed to waiting for some outside force to change their circumstances. Sustaining progress requires residents to be committed to the vision for the city and feel a personal connection to making it work. By moving from the mindset of change being done for to change being done with means we must fundamentally realign our priorities in city governance. As an accomplished nonprofit leader, business owner, convener, and community builder, I have been privileged to contribute to the growth of Hartford. As a knowledgeable observer and translator of municipal government, having videotaped hundreds of mayoral, council, and school board meetings for almost 3 decades, as a documentarian and interviewer of every Hartford mayor since Georgia Thinson, I have been part of fine-grained community advocacy in all 17 Hartford neighborhoods, with a grassroots awareness few can rival. My experience in community advocacy has taught me valuable lessons in leadership, including the power of organizing constituencies, offering a compelling vision, and promoting the inclusion and well-being of all residents. Hartford will thrive with a mayor with diverse skills, a depth of knowledge of city issues and relationships with the people, so together, we can collaborate, innovate, take on challenges, and create opportunities as one Hartford. I believe I have that unique combination of talents and experiences that make for an excellent 68th mayor of the city of Hartford. I thank you for taking the time to consider me as a mayoral candidate and looking forward to our conversation.